Hold me close and hold me fast, the magic spell you cast. This is love in rose. When you kiss me, and I'm live. Hello, this is yours truly, Clarissa M. Talaga, and I am doing this recording at 1791 CM Rector Street, Pleasantville Subdivision, Ilayang, Lucena City. Hello, today is the 28th of September 2020, and the headline today that I want to share with my viewers is how it looks like that Congressman Alan Peter Cayetano would stay on as the Speaker of the House because of the signed manifesto representing the sentiment of more than 200 Congress is not in favor of the gentleman's agreement between him and Congressman Lord Alan Velasquez. On another headline, today is the first day of the deliberation for 2021 annual budget of the Philippines. I would regard that as a good opener for the content of this video recording because I would like to address myself to Grab Philippines through the spokesperson, Attorney Nicka Hosaka. As I understand it, as of today, September 28th, 2020, you are still the spokesperson. Attorney, my name is Clarissa Talaga, and it's easier to communicate to you in Tagalog, but because this video recording will be transmitted to an office that will not necessarily tackle domestic issues. Hence, I have decided to do away with the need for translation and avoid some problems like lost in translation. Hello, Attorney Hosaka. My name is Clarissa M. Talaga, one of the many Clarissa Talagas here in the Philippines. From amongst the many Clarissa Garcia, my married name, or Clarissa Talaga, who are also Filipino citizens, I am the Clarissa Talaga who had made the first reach out to Grab through Mr. Brian Koo, whom I had seen and listened to in Tectonic Summit in SMX MOA, Pasay City, last 2018. Because of the issues of proper identification, I have delayed my personal visit to the 12th floor of Wilcon IT Hub in Makati City, where I first applied as an affiliate through written application. On the second half of 2018, I could have talked with Mr. Brian Koo in person to follow up my letters. Dahil po Pilipino naman siya at naka-based sa Metro Manila, which was our usual area for day trips coming from Lucena City. Madali naman pong gawin yon, but I did not do that. Instead, I had decided to touch base with a property management company that owns Dorset Hotel in Wan Chai District, Hong Kong. Sa Hong Kong po. I'm the one who has been sending letters for Mr. Anthony Tan, CEO of Grab Holdings Singapore, care of Mr. Brian Koo. And the very first letter I sent to Mr. Anthony Tan was made after I had sent travel papers to the manager of Dorset. I sent my travel papers before we even arrived for a 4-day stay together with my daughters and son-in-law on March 2019, that's last year. Afterwards, when we were there, our passports were taken so there could be verification and for them to be able to produce certifiable copy out of the original travel documents as hotel guests. After our trip and we went back to the Philippines, to the province of Quezon, my hometown, I sent the remaining credentials that can be verified and should be attributed to their former guest, and I sent it to Mr. Ronald Chong. In said communication, which was confirmed through an email message of acknowledgement, I had introduced myself as a writer, a producer, music artist, and vlogger, as well as CEO of Talaga Information and Business Consultancy, or TIBC. It was a month after we had launched a very successful public live event with international viewership here in Lucena City, and that was on the 17th of February 2019. And the title of the show, Urban Fashion Modeling Search 2019. The reason for this recorded message is to notify Grab Philippines that I will be coursing through my request for budget allocation and liquidation of expenses to Mr. Anthony Tan. So the reason for this recorded message is to notify Grab Philippines that I will be coursing through my request for budget allocation and liquidation of expenses to Mr. Anthony Tan. That this is meant to address confusion and possible stress on your part, because I will be doing it through the Department of Labor and Employment Region 4 here in Lucena City. I will be asking the assistance of the DOLE and then the International Labor Organization, because it is to an international conglomerate that I would be submitting this budget request. There's already a precedent wherein the DOLE had interceded in behalf of employees that when at the time that I could not pay with the business had been put to much liquidity problems in 2019. We had a tremendous financial problem in 2019, and as a result, I could not pay my employees, and so we had a mediated meeting at the DOLE. So this time, through the same company and seed number at the said DOLE mediation, I would ask that my concern be written to Grab Singapore via Grab Philippines, that the DOLE desk officer write Grab Philippines in my behalf in order for the budget allocation and liquidation of expenses to be a matter of urgent official business and be taken up through official channels. The reason that justifies budget allocation was contained on each package that I had sent Mr. Anthony Tan of Grab Singapore through the country office of Grab Philippines, primarily in Makati City. The actionable information therein contained had paid already some of my more pressing indebtedness, along with bills that had been incurred by the operation of my company. The dates of the outstanding debts were in need of settlement because of the interest penalties. So although the transaction date covered the date before I had applied to become affiliated with Grab, that was one of the conditions I had set before further talks could progress. And at some point, it had seemed like a one-way communication. But because of the settlements of some of the loans, and because this is primarily my legal position in a court case, in a judicial case that's in the preliminary stage at this point, I have deemed it proper, for these documentation to become part of this recorded message. Through the events that took place, I realized that any operation of TIBC, that's my company, will not prosper without being annexed or acquired by a bigger company through partnership or through legal acts of being incorporated to a bigger organization. However, the pandemic intruded in the process. COVID-19 had changed the original intent of the sent business favors. So another tack or avenue would have to be taken, obviously. So what does the IATF, for instance, allows for us here in the Philippines in terms of movements, in terms of transactions? There is a health advisory throughout the Philippines, and especially in Metro Manila and other parts of Luzon. So from there, what will our LGU allow for us? Like the LGU of Lucena City, headed by Mayor Roderick Alcala and Governor Danny Suarez of the provincial government of Quezon. And what will the LGU of another locality allow in terms of travel? Like Mayor Abby Binay and Vice Mayor Monique Lagdameo, what will they regard as permissible? So those have been the job I was tackling in my work from home in this address, 1791 CM Rectus Street, registered address of the IBC. So I may or may not have communicated effectively how the superseding events have managed to change the feasibility of the original business proposition. To this day, I still have no doubt that the repurposing of the business project I had initiated was the right thing to do to address the current needs. This has turned out to be a family affair from the moment I had myself become cognizant. Since from the two-way conversation and two-way acknowledgements with the property management company of Dorset, Wanchai, Hong Kong. It was later confirmed when Anthony Tan and Wailing Tan disclosed the information about Tan Chong Motors, based in Malaysia. So from there, it is just a matter of having the proper quarantine classification to make my personal courtesy call at the Malaysian Embassy and Singapore Embassy in Manila. But it is now feasible to begin doing the rounds in Calabar zone come the 30th of September, the last day of September. That's on Wednesday. And so it is expected, for me to begin introducing myself in the supply chains of Tan Chong Motors from amongst the local industrial companies in Calabar zone, Calamba, Laguna in particular. So in making my concern be heard through the government agencies mandated to process them, a process will also be officially initiated. I am also setting up a virtual live event wherein I can invite Mr. Anthony Tan and Ms. Wailing Tan along with Mr. Dara Kasroshahi, among others, in order, in order to identify the nature of each of my concerns to Grab Philippines, the package that I am sending will have proper file name and explanation, along with documentations open for verification. At the very least, wala man pong memo from Singapore office informing Grab Philippines, even without this memo, with the instruction to recognize my personality as far as Grab Philippines is concerned, as the respondent to my request for assistance, both as a legitimate compensation and as a matter of humanitarian and human rights concern. This is to explain why a labor welfare agency, government, private, and international, would be writing to you in my behalf. Attorney Nicka, I hope that this will shed light and that this will pacify any anxiety that any letter from the Dole may create, just like how I had felt back then. So I am anticipating what, the kind of reaction that you may have when you receive a third-party letter in my behalf. Salamat po.
Attorney Nicka, before ko po i-render ang video communication na ito, because today is the 30th of September, nagkaroon na po ng dry run ang provincial buses, and since maghapon po ako na nagtatrabaho, hindi ko po alam kung anong feedback. Plus, nagkakaroon ngayon ng mahabang diskusyon, somewhat dramatic, sa turnover ng House of Congress when it comes to the leadership. So, although kanina umaga nagkaroon pa ng announcement na October 14 supposed to be Congressman Cayetano will step down to give way to Congressman Velasco. But as of now, it's 6:03, nagkaroon pa ng motion sa Congress na pinapanood ko kung saan hindi nila tinatanggap ang resignation ni Congressman Cayetano. So with this video message, as you can see, this is the reason why I had been confident in applying to become an affiliate and in selling the shares of my company, Talaga Information and Business Consultancy, TIBC, on a limited partnership or corporate partnership. As you can see, I'm an artist, and this is my medium. It's as unique as each individual. Ako po, I have the experience in doing mass communication, and that I'd like to think that I've been effective in that. So many offers had landed since the time that I had given this filler to Mr. Tan. And so through this, the combination of things that will be my own vehicle. I know that Grab is a ride-hailing company nung nagsimula ito. Ako rin po meron akong vehicle for my information. And what kind of information do I offer? So that's my pitch to Grab actually. At secondary na po doon kung paano ko nare-resolve ang mga problema in my identity, mga legal cases na although hindi po ako lawyer and you are a lawyer as I understand it, meron din naman pamamaraan, may advantage din to have a very public platform like mine sa pagre-resolve ng problem. So although merong place for a real lawyer like yourself, meron din man pong place for a mass communicator like me. And with the way I package it, I use my own uniqueness, my unique perspective and character in choosing the vehicles for these messages. At so far, sa tingin ko po, yun ang primary asset why I would be considered as an affiliate of Grab and Chong Motors. Salamat po.